Lawyers of Reddit, what's your best most badass I rest my case moment? Opposing counsel decided that I had coached my witness and gave him lines to repeat, that he was lying. Short version is that he asked the witness if he spoke to me before he testified. Witness said he had. Attorney looked like he thought he had me. Attorney asked the witness what I told him, what instructions I gave him. Witness looked him dead in the eye and said, first thing he told me was to tell the truth no matter what. He said the lawyer is never the one who goes to jail, that he isn't going to jail for me, and if I lie, I'm on my own. Attorney looked like someone took the air out of him. Everyone in the courtroom simultaneously looked at me. Only time I've smirked or laughed in court. I wanted to put my feet up on the table like I was Vincent LaGuardia Gambini, hands behind my head, and say, I'm done with this guy. I had a trial against a guy who was self-representing and he was constantly asking my client about conversations she had with me. First of all, no, I'm not coaching her to lie, and second of all there's a thing called privilege which means the things we discuss are not compellable. It was an exhausting trial. Needless to say, he was ordered to pay about $1 million more than he actually owed. I represented a company that was sued for breach of contract by a former independent contractor. Dude basically alleged that my client wasn't paying him correctly in accordance with the contract. During his deposition, Dude admits that he never reviewed any documents to make sure his allegations were true, never reviewed his complaint before filing it to make sure the allegations in it were true, and had no idea whether or not my client actually failed to pay him in accordance with the contract. Basically, he tells me that he was suing my client because he didn't think their agreement was fair, even though he agreed to the terms when he signed the contract. The kicker is that he admitted that he owed my client money. At arbitration, he tries to flip his story and starts giving testimony that is the exact opposite of his dep, so I whip out his transcript and undermine his testimony bit by bit. Needless to say, I won that case. Not a case-winning moment, but a motion-winning one for sure. Think of cases like a big conflict, with motion hearings as little conflicts. Opposing attorney was insisting that Rula meant they could do X. I tried, multiple times, to point out Rula literally did not say that. During the hearing, the judge reached behind them, grabbed their rules of civil procedure, basically a dictionary of rules, placed it in front of the other attorney, and said show me where Rula says X. Other attorney did not take the hint, read rules out loud for a brutal 5 minutes, and gave the book back. I said Judge I have nothing to add. It was pretty fun. I'm a reporter, journalist, who covered courts for years. In one hearing I was covering, the prosecution was a brand new attorney that the powers that be were grooming to move up because she was local, female and a minority, something the court system was majorly lacking. But she was so green, she did not understand the court rules at all. As the hearing takes place she becomes convinced she can treat a witness as hostile, but in reality, it's her opposition who is allowed to do that. And she starts arguing her position, but the judge shut her down fairly quickly. I honestly had never seen something like that before or since. This attorney, shortly thereafter, was put up by the party for an unopposed judgeship and, I assume, is still a judge in that county. I lost a little faith in the system after that. I do mostly solicitor work, so if I'm doing my job right I don't get a whole lot of these type of moments. That being said, I had a long-time client who was being sued and I got to shut down the guy suing him in a very satisfying way. So my client had hired a guy, we will call Kevin, as basically a right-hand man for his company. The employment contract wasn't done yet but they had an agreement that Kevin would work 6 weeks at a lower wage and then sign the contract and get the agreed-upon wage. So the guy works decently for 5 weeks and then is given the contract to sign. He comes back to the owner, my client, and says that he has some small changes he would like to make. When the owner gets the contract back he finds that the small changes involve removing the duties and responsibilities section, basically the job description, and the non-compete/confidentiality clause. Not only that but he has written in a higher salary than agreed and added a bunch of new benefits for himself. Obviously, my client tells him that he can either sign the contract as it was originally laid out or he can find himself another job. He takes the latter option. But he starts a lawsuit against the owner wanting to be paid for the 6 weeks he was supposed to work, which had already been paid, 2 weeks in lieu of notice and 5 weeks vacation pay. I got the enjoyable job of telling Kevin, in front of a judge, that he was not entitled to anything under the employment legislation in the ONL. Why way he could get any of that would be if he had signed the contract. Judge dismissed the case and awarded costs to the defendant but not before giving Kevin a lecture on wasting the court's time. Complaining witness accused my client of harassment/stalking. Said she told him numerous times that she wanted nothing to do with him. My client claimed they were dating, but whenever she got mad at him, she'd call the police and say he was harassing her. On the stand, she testified that she'd never dated him, never invited him into her home, wanted nothing to do with him. She presented a photo on her phone of him sitting on her porch to prove that he had come to her property. I asked the judge permission to look at the photos before and after the porch photo for context. Girl had dozens of photos of the guy, who was clearly her boyfriend. I showed her one such picture. This is Mr. So-and-so, right? Yes. In this photo, he's on a bed? Yes. The bed is yours? Yes. The bed is in your bedroom? Yes. You took this photo of him? Yes. He's smiling in the photo? Yes. And in this photo, he's wearing your brassiere? Yes. No further questions, Your Honor. Oh no, the video ended. If you want to see more videos like this one, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications too so you don't miss a video.